Yo, what's good, Raider Nation? So before we dive in, I just wanted to take a second to give a big thank you. The support on this channel has been unreal. The comments, the discussions, the debates, the love, it means the world to us. We love you, Raider Nation. This isn't just football talk, this is family, this is culture, this is silver and black loyalty on full display every day. And y'all already know the deal, and if you're new, when we hit that 1,000 subscriber mark, I'm getting that Raider Nation tattoo on a live stream. I'm a tattoo artist, so I have the means, no jokes and no gimmicks. Permanently stamped, because this team, this fan base, this culture, it's in the bloodstream, baby. I was born with a Raider jersey on. So if you're rocking with the movement and you bleed silver and black like I do, and you want to see that tattoo go down on live, hit that subscribe button. Share the channel, comment your takes, and let's keep building this thing together. Let's fucking get it.
Yo, what's good, Raider Nation? Welcome back to the reality check. So we're in between video editing software, so if the video is a little clunky, I apologize. I'm still settling in with this new UI. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. Today we're breaking down a question every Raider fan has been asking. How did the Raiders get to this point? How did we go from a franchise loaded with talent, hype, and possibilities to a team drowning in confusion, dysfunction, and a week-to-week chaos? This isn't one coach, this isn't one season, this is about years of misalignment, bad decisions, unstable leadership, and a complete lack of identity. Today we're unpacking it all, so let's get into it. Most on the outside will look at the Raiders and think their problems began this season, but nah, this goes way back. The Raiders have cycled through 7 head coaches since 2010, 5 offensive coordinators, 4 GMs, 3 rebrands, and 0 long-term plans. Every time a new regime comes in, they install a new scheme, replace half the roster, draft for a different philosophy, reset the culture, and leave the organization with no continuity. The Raiders are not bad because of one bad decision. They're bad because of 200 small ones spread over the last 2 decades. So when people talk about the Raiders' downfall, they usually focus on recent coaches or draft mistakes. The truth is, the cracks in this franchise go all the way back to one moment. The trade of Jon Gruden to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers back in 2002. This wasn't just a head coach getting traded, which is bizarre in its own right. This was a moment the Raiders lost their offensive architect, their cultural identity, their locker room leader, their long-term stability, and another Super Bowl window. The Raiders were coming off their most stable stretch in decades. From 1998 to 2001, the Raiders had a top-tier offense, MVP-level quarterback in Rich Gannon, elite scheme design, veterans who believed in Gruden, a stable culture for the first time since the 80s. They were right there, one of the best-run franchises in football at the time. Gruden gave the Raiders something they hadn't had in years, an identity. Al Davis traded Gruden to Tampa Bay for 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and $8 million. On paper, that's a strong haul, but the timing, chemistry, the locker room impact, you can't quantify that damage. Losing a coach in his prime with a Super Bowl ready roster is the kind of move the teams rarely recover from. Then there's the Super Bowl nightmare. The following year, the Raiders reached the Super Bowl with Gruden's playbook, Gruden's roster, and Gruden's offensive system. And who did they face? Jon Gruden himself. He knew every audible, every call, every hand signal, every route concept, every check Gannon would make at the line. He wasn't guessing, he was reading the script that he wrote. And the results? An obvious blowout loss in the biggest game of the era. This wasn't just losing the Super Bowl. This is having the architect who built you tear down your own house on live national television. And that fallout lasted for decades. After the Gruden trade, the Raiders cycled through coaches, the culture eroded, the team lost consistency, the draft picks from the trade didn't change the franchise, the identity Gruden built vanished overnight. From 2003 to 2015, the Raiders had 12 straight losing seasons, 9 head coaches, 0 long-term direction. The Gruden trade wasn't just a single bad move, it was a domino that started the whole collapse. And the irony of it all, almost 20 years later, the Raiders brought Gruden back, this time on a 10-year contract and full control. It was a desperate attempt to restore the identity they lost that day they traded him. But instead of redemption, it ended in another disaster. Scandals, resignations, fines, and another reset that pushed the team back even further into chaos. The Jon Gruden trade is one of the most overlooked turning points in the modern NFL history. It wasn't just a coach leaving. It was the Raiders losing their stability, identity, culture, offensive vision, and long-term leadership. The franchise that had been trying and failing to replace the foundation ever since. This moment wasn't just a trade, it was the beginning of a modern Raiders era, an era defined by resets, rebuilds, and a search for the identity they once had. And then we have failed leadership changes. Every time the Raiders tried to reinvent themselves, they created more instability. Mark Davis wanted stability but chose chaos. When you hire Jon Gruden to a 10-year contract with Mike Mayock, then cut Gruden mid-season, then let Mayock go, then hire Ziegler and McDaniels, then fire them, then bring in Pierce. In less than a calendar year, you overhaul to bring in TB12, Spytek, and Pete, and then flip the roster yet again. That's not a plan. That's panic. You can't build a winning culture when the building resets every 18 months. Which brings us to the roster building without a plan. This might be one of the Raiders' biggest weaknesses. No GM and head coach have shared the same vision. One regime drafts big physical players, man-covered corners, power run scheme linemen, and the next regime wants speed, finesse players, zone corners, wide zone linemen, so the roster keeps flip-flopping. Players who fit the old system suddenly don't fit the new one. Cap space gets burned on dead money and the team never gets to year 3 of any plan. Example, Christian Wilkins. They paid him $110 million and then let him go months later. Why? Because the new staff didn't value him the same way the old one did. Then you got to talk about the constant QB reset. The Raiders haven't had a stable QB situation since the early years of Derek Carr, and since then we've had Jimmy G, Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, Geno Smith, backups like Kenny Pickett and Cam Miller, and now there's whispers about drafting the next guy. You can't build an offense without QB continuity. You can't grow your young wide receivers, tight ends, or O-linemen without that QB stability, and the Raiders haven't had that in years. Which also ties into the bad scheme and the bad fits. This year is a perfect example. Pete Carroll brings an old school scheme. Pete wants ball control, defense first, physical run game, and safe passing. But the Raiders roster is built for spread concepts, mismatches, motions, hybrid weapons, explosive plays. They hired a coach with a philosophy that doesn't match the players. Then pair Pete Carroll with Chip Kelly, two completely different football worlds smashed together. No wonder the offense fell apart and it was an absolute shit show. And that ties us neatly into the offensive collapse. This season, the offense has been predictable, uncreative, unbalanced, and borderline dysfunctional and anemic at best. 42 passes to 8 runs, come on, dog. That's not a scheme, that's a meltdown. This offense has no rhythm, no identity, no balance, and no leadership. When you don't know who you are, you can't win in the NFL, and that's facts. So with all that going on, there's clear coaching confusion. Pete Carroll's out here coaching to save his seat, Geno Smith is playing to save his job, and Greg Olsen is trying to bandage what Kelly broke. The defense is carrying the entire organization, Max Crosby is being wasted in his prime, and this is a team without alignment. Everyone is pulling in a different direction, and you can feel it on the field. So with all those coaching problems, it's easy to see why the culture just broke down. Because the team's culture is built by stability, identity, leadership, accountability. The Raiders have constant turnover, no identity, conflicting philosophies, zero accountability. Players feel it, fans feel it, and even opposing teams feel it. The Raiders' culture has been stuck in a rebuild loop for years. Where does it all go from here? And how did the Raiders even get to this point? Because no one ever hit the reset button the right way. They only hit it halfway, over and over again at that. To fix this franchise, they need one vision, one identity, one GM, one head coach, and one long-term plan, and the discipline to stick to it for more than 18 months. Until then, the Raiders will keep spinning in circles. The truth is painful but simple. This is not a talent problem, this is an organizational problem. It's sad to say it, but this is a Mark Davis problem. What do you think, Raider Nation? Drop a comment below. What was the moment this season you realized the Raiders were off track? Who do you blame the most? The front office, coaching, ownership, or the players? And what identity do you want the Raiders to build moving forward? And as always, we're on the road to 1,000 subs. Once we hit it, I'm getting the Raiders tattoo on a live stream. So be sure to hit that like button because it helps us with the algorithms. And we appreciate you, Raider Nation. And as always, this has been the Raider Reality Check. We keep it real, we keep it raw, we keep it $110 for the nation. It's X-Ray signing off, y'all.